to learn how to actually be a man, because it's tough. And I'm sure there's like the whole flip side of this to women. I wonder if there's all these masculine women owning businesses, if they need a nice little granny to teach them how to be feminine.
I'm sure that, honestly, on both sides, I'm sure that that's beneficial. Some of them it is. We call that shadow work. So I don't know if you've heard that term before. Shadow work, I'm very spiritual. So shadow work is basically where you're kind of discovering the parts of you that are hidden, that maybe like you haven't really gotten into, because,
they're in the shadows.
During the shadows. Wow, you're so clever. Well, I was actually a counselor before that, for abused women, and that was a little bit much to not bring home. So I decided to stop doing that, and then I got a job at it was called Home Trust. So I used to work there, and that was my first like real job. So that's kind of how I got into mortgages.
Charlene, thank you for making the trip here today. It's beautiful outside, I know. We're in January in Canada, so it's to be expected. First off, happy birthday. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Wasn't long ago. What did you do for your birthday?
Oh, well, I saw family, friends. I did a girls' night. Like, it was great. Still celebrating. Yeah. Thanks.
And I love this about you. So you on your Instagram page, you have a pinned post with 10 fun facts about you. Made my research very easy, so thank you for that. Very good. I wish everyone would do that for future guests. Keep that in mind. And so you love baking?
I do.
Mm-hmm. What's your specialty?
So a lot of people might not know, but back in 2018, I actually did it from home and I sold it to friends and family. And I used to sell donuts, Nutella s'mores bars, and I used to do like Earl Grey infused cakes as well.
Nice. Is that something you've kind of always dabbled in, or was that just for a time?
I've always done it, honestly. Started with like boxed stuff, and then I kind of progressed from there since I was a kid.
That's fun. Are you still doing that, or?
I haven't done it as much lately, but now you're reminding me that I should. So thanks for that.
Yeah. It would have been. I was hoping maybe that there would be some brought.
Oh,
but
maybe next time.
that didn't
We'll think
happen.
about that.
No worries. So a foodie in general, though, right? What are some of your favorite restaurants?
Well, actually, I love Gusto. So Gusto 101, Gusto 501. Okay. Chubby's is another one of my favorites. And honestly, I love more of the mom and pops, like if I have to decide. Okay. Hakka Food, Frederick's, yeah.
Okay, awesome. When we chatted on the phone the first time, you talked about being a foodie and some of the restaurants, and I realized that I don't go anywhere anymore. Like I used to go to restaurants all the time. My life has changed quite a bit in the last 2 years. So I don't go out anywhere anymore, and I don't know any of the new restaurants. And I know there was like the trend of doing like the favorite pizza, favorite coffee of the city, favorite all these things. And I was like, I don't know if I can even do that, because like it's going to be like Domino's and the Starbucks, because I don't know any of the cool spots anymore. But I used to be on the scene, but not so much anymore.
Maker's a great one. On Carlaw, Maker.
Yeah.
Pizza is really great.
Okay, nice. Good to know. Yeah, I'm on the other side of the city, so. But maybe I'll make my way over there one day. Yeah. Also, did you get your motorcycle license?
No, I didn't. No. You know what? When I was actually looking at that post recently, and I'm like, why haven't I gotten on that? I think I just got busy in the midst of life. Right. But that's definitely something I want to do. Yeah. Like, I don't know.
Where did that come from?
Well, my cousin and I, my cousin actually got me into like gaming and stuff like that. So he gets me into all these things. Right. And he like talks to me about motorcycles and stuff and has been teaching me about it. And I'm like, that'd be pretty cool. Yeah. Back in India too, we also ride motorcycles. Right. So it's a little bit of home.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Probably different type of bike though, no?
Yeah, a little bit. Not too extreme, but pretty similar.
Okay. And you're from Toronto originally?
I'm actually from India originally.
Oh, you are from India originally.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm from Calcutta. So I was born there and I came here when I was like 7.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Good to know. Look at that. Something that's not on your post, but yeah, we came up with a new one. Awesome. Well, good luck with the motorcycle thing.
I'll let you know. You'll be the first one I call if I do get it.
I used to drive a Harley Sportster, so
yeah.
For a while, I don't do that anymore. But it's a lot of fun.
Dad life now. Yeah.
But it's definitely like it's a whole lifestyle, right? You gotta it's not like you just maybe like I'll ride a bike once in a while. It's like you gotta have all the gear and you gotta hang out with different people. You gotta talk different. You got to learn the handshakes, all that. So if you're ready for that, all that.
I have my work cut out for me. Well, my uncle does meetups. He rides motorcycles and he does meetups. So I know there's like a whole community.
Exactly. Yeah. And almost met Beyonce. What's that all about?
Oh my gosh. So, okay, my very first concert was Destiny's Child when I was probably like 10. And back then they didn't do VIP meet and greets. It was like, you just can go backstage. Yeah. And I had some commitments the next day. So I was like, well, can't go. Got to be up early. And
10. I had some commitments.
I had school. So I was I got to go home. And looking back, I'm like, I don't know why I did that. But
okay. So which version of Destiny's Child was it?
Oh, it was Kelly, Beyonce, and Michelle.
Okay, right. Classic. Of course. Nice. Awesome. So mortgage broker, what does that look like? What is that journey? How did you get into becoming a mortgage broker?
Yeah, so I was actually working at a lender before this. Okay. And I was there for probably like 3-4 years, and I was doing a lot of like overtime and things like that and talking to clients, and I thought I could put in the same amount of time meeting clients in person and having connections, right? So I decided to get licensed, and rest is history. Yeah. And
how's that been?
It's been great, honestly. Been able to build a lot of connections with realtors, clients. Yeah. Especially social media too.
Yeah. Well, you do a lot of social media. I love your coffee break, coffee talk. That's it. Yeah. So you've done that for a while, and then you stopped doing them for a while, but they're back, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. They're back now, cool. Every Wednesday. Yeah.
That's cool. And do you get a lot of feedback? Do people ask questions, or how do you like come up with the topics?
Yeah, a lot of them are questions, honestly. Sometimes from clients existing and sometimes from Instagram. Yeah. And so I just tell them like, I'll make a coffee talk about this and post that. And it's actually been helpful. Yeah.
And what kind of, is it mostly first-time home buyers you work with, or what kind of buyers are you usually working with?
Well, I started out with more first-time home buyers, and now it's like a lot of business for self and, business owners, now that I've kind of progressed throughout my career.
So is that, do you offer like alternative lending and stuff like that for self-employed?
Yeah. I was
outside of the traditional.
I was actually just on a call with somebody on the way here. Okay. So we take them to be lenders or even private sometimes.
Yeah. Okay, great. And how has the market been treating you over the last year?
Well, I mean, as you'll know, Morgan, it's been pretty unpredictable for all of us, right? We've kind of just been hearing what might happen, but it's definitely looking like it's picking up now. Mm-hmm. Fixed rates are on their way down, so bond yields are going down. And we're anticipating there's going to be a lot of cuts come spring, summer.
That's what they're saying, yeah. Which is, we'll have to see. But so do you find, not just now, but like kind of overall, as long as you've been doing it, that people take variable rates, or do people tend to stay safe and take fixed rates, even though fixed are now lower, but not traditionally?
Well, I'd say for the most part, if they're like end users, first-time home buyers or repeat buyers, they're usually going with fixed rates. Yeah. But if they're investors, they're usually variable.
Right. For sure. Yeah. Do you work with many investors?
I do work with investors. Yeah.
And have you noticed like a change in investor sentiment at all?
Not so much. Because a lot of them are buying rental properties. So for the most part, they are looking to go in with the least amount of risk if they did need to break or anything like that. Mm-hmm. So they are comfortable with going in with a variable.
Right. Yeah. That's traditionally been the way of the investor for sure, because they need multiple exit strategies. But do you find investors are still buying, still making moves, or are they being affected, similar to end user buyers?
Yeah, I do find that investors are buying, honestly, especially since people have been on the sidelines not buying because of rates. Investors, perfect time to jump in.
Now's the time. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they're calling for potential cuts this year, contrary to what maybe the economy is saying. So it'll be interesting to see. Anyways, I think they'll kind of have to cut at this point, but yeah.
Especially towards the end of the year, we'll definitely see something.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we probably anticipate it's going to be fairly slow for the first, maybe even half a year, right, until that starts to happen. And you probably have similar conversations, but I tell people now, like, once they start cutting, everyone's coming back. Like, it may not be this massive bull run like we saw over the last couple of years, but people are going to jump back in. So like it's opportunity now. It seems like you can never get past that mentality of oh, well, nobody else is buying, so I better not buy. Right. And the famous quote is do the opposite of what everyone's doing. So yeah.
There's actually a meme about that. I don't know if you saw or if I can mention that. It's, Home Alone, the scene where he comes out and he's I'm here, I'm not afraid anymore. Yeah. It's like, that's buyers right now, because buyers are already getting into the market right now, even though we haven't seen any cuts, right?
Yeah, they're starting to, but there's like, it's weird. It really depends on market segments as well. And then, different asset classes as well, right? Like condos really kind of took a beating over the last while, but then you have higher end detached homes, which that market doesn't get as affected by the rates. So really depends on what you're getting into. But what kind of got you in this space? I know you said you worked for a lender first. What got you into that space in the first place?
Oh, well, I was actually a counselor before that for abused women. And that was a little bit much to not bring home. So I decided to stop doing that. And then I got a job at, it was called Home Trust. So I used to work there. And that was my first real job. Right. So that's kind of how I got into mortgages.
Okay. Yeah. And you talk about how women empowerment is important to you. Where does that come from? Where does that fit in your life? Like why has that become kind of a thing for you to carry on?
I feel like it's all the women that came before me. I know it sounds a little cliche, but it is for the most part. I come from very background of very strong women, and we're very opinionated. We speak our minds, and that's always inspired me to be that way. So I always feel that when I see women who are maybe not able to do that, I just always want to be able to help them. So I think it's just the foundation I was raised on.
Yeah, great. And so is that kind of what led you to helping women and being a bit of a transformational coach?
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah, for sure.
More,
So I back in, I would say probably 2020, I went through a big change in my life. I had to do a lot of work on myself, a lot of self-development. And I spent 2-3 years doing that. And I kind of had a little bit of a guideline on how to really be your best self and really gain your confidence and all of that. I used to deal with a lot of social anxiety in the past.
Okay.
And I found that I was doing it for my friends, and it really helped me because I felt like I was making a difference. And it, sometimes you do something and you're passionate about it, just fuels you.
Yep.
So then I thought, why not just have a course and a program to actually teach women around the world?
Right.
So I actually have a client in Denmark. I have clients around the world.
Amazing.
That I help out. And I love it.
Yeah. Okay. And so that's something you're still doing?
I'm still doing that.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, I mean, they say, you're most qualified to help the person you used to be. So that makes sense. I think a lot of times when, we discover a way to help other people, it's because we went through it ourselves. So makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And so you create YouTube content around that as well, right?
I don't do as much content around that as I should, but you know what? I definitely feel like I'm going to start doing that.
Well, I'm here to remind you of all the things that you've been slacking on. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Going home, making videos and baking tonight.
The baked goods. Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, that's awesome. But that's great. And so what's are you, is it one type of kind of person and background that you come across, or is it kind of span the scope of different type of people that you're able to help?
It's all types, honestly. It's women of different age ranges as well. And it's just interesting to see that as you first start talking to them. I mean, I'm not really sure how much I can go into this because I don't know how much time you have, but just in terms of meeting these women, you really first start to find out where their sensitivities are and their soft points, and you really get to the core of who they are as you start to, and you notice changes not only in them but the people around them. So as I'm doing this coaching, I'm not only coaching them, but I'm also kind of helping them with their husband or with their friends, because when you're changing, the things around you are changing. Right. So you have to learn to kind of manage and balance all of that. So yeah.
People are coming to you, people are finding you, I'm assuming. So they're open to some sort of change, right? But do you find it a challenge for people to, break down those barriers and actually open up? I'm sure it must be.
Yeah, for some of them it is. We call that shadow work. So I don't know if you've heard that term before. Shadow work, I'm very spiritual. So shadow work is basically where you're kind of discovering the parts of you that are hidden that maybe like you haven't really gotten into because, you know,
They're in the shadows.
during the shadows. Wow, you're so clever. Yeah, because you're kind of starting out when you're a kid, like it's very different. You're very open to the world. Things happen to you along the way and you kind of close up. So my job is to kind of go in there and to help them discover those areas and then rework them.
Yeah. No, it's very true. I mean, when we're kids, and I'm seeing it now with my daughter, like, you know, everything is, there's no inhibitions, there's no, you know, barriers set on us, you know, imagination runs free. And at some point I don't think anyone can escape it. You know, life has its impact and influence on us, and we all put this shell around ourselves, really, based on various things that happen in our life. So it's a joy to see a child like be so free, and like it reminds you like, oh yeah, like, you know, we all used to be like that and we could be like that. So it sounds like you kind of help people get back to that a little bit.
To that childlike state.
Yeah.
And that's the best way to manifest. I don't know if you believe in that, but get everything you want is to be in that happy state.
Yeah. Very cool. Awesome. So you said you're very spiritual. Are you into like do you read a lot, listen to a lot of podcasts, that kind of stuff? Or is it just more of a personal thing?
I read. I listen to a lot of like Muji. I meditate. I don't know if you know who Muji is. He's like a spiritual teacher. I meditate a lot. I love learning. So right now I'm very into like biology related things and how that affects us and our lives and all of that. So and attachment styles, all of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of biology stuff, like, and how does that affect us?
Yeah.
I'm curious about this.
Of course. Yeah. Right now I'm a bit of a nerd about it. I'm actually learning about like estrogen and testosterone, how it affects men and women in their lives so they can be more successful. Yeah. So I don't know if you can ask me more questions if you want, but I don't know how much to go into that.
Yeah. Well, I know that, you know, testosterone replacement has become probably a bit of a fad now because, you know, it declines as men age and obviously has an impact. So I don't know if you know anything kind of in that realm, or if you've learned anything you can share in terms of.
Yeah, for sure. So what they're seeing right now is like they do talk a lot about like dating as well right now in the dating world. Yeah. And how back in the day, you know, it was very traditional. So women stayed at home, men went to work. Yeah. When you're working, you're doing something and someone appreciates you for it and you feel like you're providing, your testosterone levels are very high. Right now we have so many women that are business owners, are very independent. A lot of them are a little bit masculine. I may say. So, you know, they have a lot of testosterone building in them. And so sometimes there can be an imbalance where men are becoming a little bit more passive sometimes and a little bit more feminine in that sense. Yes. I don't know. I hope that doesn't offend you or anybody in here because you guys are men, not to say you were.
No, it's a definite difference from the way it used to be, for sure. And it's tough. Because I can't imagine being a young man in this world and environment. And I'd like to think that, you know, I would be one of the few that wasn't and would break out and be strong. But in this world where they don't know, they were told for a long time to not be masculine and to tone that down and also they're on the basement playing video games on the couch and watching porn. And like, so how would you develop any real, you know, masculinity? You're not doing any actual hard work, you know, and I'm generalizing, but yeah, it's tough. I feel for them, but at the same time, like it's up to you to search out ways, mentors or people that you can teach from or you can learn from to learn how to actually be a man, because it's tough. And I'm sure there's like the whole flip side of this to women. I wonder if you know, there's all these masculine women owning businesses, if they need a nice little granny to teach them how to be feminine.
I'm sure that honestly on both sides, I'm sure that that's beneficial, because there's a lot of women right now who are hyper independent, which independence is great. But if you're like in that state where you don't need anybody, that's probably not the best state to be in. Yeah, for sure. Do you find that that you've seen a difference in men over, you know, the last 5, 10, whatever years? I don't know. We don't have to get into your dating life, but I just mean like,
meeting men and noticing a difference in the way they hold themselves. And
I'll tell you this.
Okay.
And I don't mind like if you ask dating.
Sure.
Stuff, but in terms of, I've noticed that I used to be very masculine in myself. I used to be very hyper independent. And over the last couple of years when I did work on myself, I found that the men I've attracted have been more masculine.
Okay.
Because I'm a bit more feminine.
Interesting. Okay. That's interesting, because I think there's also the whole thing about a strong, independent woman like often doesn't get approached by men because they feel intimidated by it, right? And they may not be secure and feel like a strong masculine man who can approach a woman like that. So it's funny to say that now that you feel like you're, showing off more of a feminine side, that you're attracting more of a masculine man. Interesting.
I guess what I've learned, especially throughout all of this research that's done, that like I really enjoy reading about, is there's a difference between being needing a man and being needy with a man.
For sure.
So I think that's where sometimes people.
So you were okay. Never mind. I was gonna.
I wouldn't necessarily say that would apply to me being masculine.
No, I know. I was. Thought I had a joke to make, and I lost it. I was like, you were needy, and now you're needing, and neither of those sounded right. So I just let it go.
We're gonna pretend that didn't happen, and cut.
Yeah, exactly. Very cool, though. I find that stuff really interesting because I do listen to a lot of just basically probably the men's version of some of the stuff you're talking about and the biology and all that. And it's really interesting that the way that it's gone. And then there's like the hyper masculine movement that's kind of come out of this, which is a whole other thing.
Can you tell me like more about that? Cause I don't.
Well, so these are guys who are basically like, if a man should be a strong masculine man. And that's that part of the message is great, but there's also like they kind of put down if a woman doesn't bring things to the table, which I also agree with actually, but to an extent. There's a lot of like shitting on OnlyFans girls and stuff, and like if you're not actually using anything you've earned, you're using your body, so you're not actually bringing anything to the table, and this whole thing.
Yeah,
so
I know there's a lot of opinions about that for sure.
Yeah, and at the core, I agree with most of it, not necessarily the way it's delivered, but yeah, it's a whole movement that's like the pendulum has swung from, I think, men feeling kind of inferior and feeling like they have to be more effeminate and just share their feelings, and to swinging the other side where they're like, no, man, I'm man and I'm back.
Yeah,
so,
I agree. And you know what? I think it's great that there's like a mental health movement going for men right now, and I think that's great. Mm-hmm. It's definitely necessary. Yeah,
it is. I think it's going to take a lot more than, or at least a lot of time and a lot more of that movement being a thing for it to come out for a lot of guys, because we've been forever trained to just head down, do work, don't say anything. And so, I think a lot of guys would have a hard time actually speaking about that kind of stuff.
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty exhausting. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. As a woman.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I mean, like with gender roles being challenged so much, it's such a bizarre time. Like there's nothing wrong with a woman being feminine and being a woman, and a man being a man, and living in the role that we've all lived in because of biology for so long. And now all of a sudden we're being told that those aren't right, or anyways, whole other thing we can get into.
No worries. We can talk about whatever you'd like. So.
Tell us a fun fact. You love fun facts.
Ooh, fun facts. Well, I'm a foodie, like you said. And the reason why I'm a foodie is because I've always grown up around, culinary. So when I was 4, I started cooking with my dad when I was like 4. Like he would get his stuff, he'd get me the minis, I'd be beside him cooking. Nice. That's just kind of that's why food is so important to me, because to me in my culture, it brings everybody together. Right. So it's always a staple. Right. Yeah.
And not West Indian.
I love West Indian food.
No, but you're not West Indian.
Oh, no, I'm not. No, I'm not West Indian, but everyone thinks I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you get mistaken for that a lot,
I do.
right? And so what is the food? What is the traditional food that you grew up cooking or that you like to cook or?
Yeah. Well, my favorites, I'd say, are khao sui. It's kind of like a Thai dish, but they brought it over to India. So it's like this coconut-based chicken broth with like noodles, and you just it's like a ramen. That's one of my favorites. And another I'd say is probably like fish curry is one of my favorites too. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Do you cook like traditional food?
I do.
Yeah?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know how to cook all the Indian dishes, but I'm very good with cooking like West Indian pasta, like all that stuff.
Nice. Okay. And so for your business, what's it look like in the future? Do you have plans for, shifting it, moving it, doing anything else? What does the next 5-10 years look like for you?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be on TV one day. So that's one thing I already know is going to happen, just a matter of time. So I definitely want to have something like that. And then also I'm going to have my TikTok, my YouTube, which I'm starting to kind of be more consistent with.
Upon my prodding,
Yes,
of course.
correct.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
So thoughtful. So that and my coaching as well for sure is starting to take off. So that's definitely a primary focus of mine right now, even though I still do mortgages.
Okay. So you skimmed over that. You're going to be on TV in what capacity?
Honestly, I have no idea. I just know I'm going to be. I'm sure it won't be about mortgages per se. I mean, if it is, I don't know, but it definitely will be something mental health or spiritual.
Okay. Not a weather girl.
I mean, I think I'd be a pretty great weather girl. I've watched Mean Girls a lot. I'm just kidding.
Right.
Just kidding about that. But no, definitely not weather girl. No.
Okay. And so you say TV, do you mean like in the traditional sense or what? Or
Yeah, traditional sense.
yeah. Okay. So, but not like acting, not like a movie.
I wouldn't.
Like,
I
no,
don't think
not-
I'm leaning towards acting right now.
Okay.
No.
Okay. More of like a coach.
More of
kind
a
of thing.
coach, like
Yeah.
a segment,
Right. Okay. What about podcast? Have you thought about doing a podcast?
I actually have my own podcast.
Oh, you do?
I do. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
I missed that
I
part.
do. That's okay. Yeah. I had it for, honestly, it was only like a couple episodes.
Aha.
Then I realized
Statistic.
how much work goes into podcasts. So
Yeah. The statistic is, I think, I don't even know what the numbers are, but some crazy amount never make it past one episode. And then the number goes down from like making it past 10 and so on and so forth. So I think we're already in the top 5% by doing like 8 episodes or something that we've done. So yeah, it is. It's tough for sure.
yeah, it is. There's a lot of editing involved. So it's a good
Yeah.
thing.
Well, you got to have a team. And we were just talking about this, like, yeah, to do it yourself is like, sure, you can buy all the equipment and set it up and then, film it, make sure the sound is right, try to do the editing, make the thumbnail, do all that. But it's tough. Yeah. Like even just making content, as you know, you've made YouTube videos, like a lot goes into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I was editing all my own stuff. So all those episodes, there was a lot of time that went into it. I'm sure I'll bring it back in the future, but maybe right now.
Yeah. So what does your day kind of look like these days? You work from home or do you go to the office?
I like to switch it up. So I like to not make every day the same, right? I know everybody has a schedule where they're like, I'll do my calls in the morning and all that. But sometimes, honestly, I'm a planner. So I plan everything in my calendar. And I like to change every day up. So today I might have, taken all my calls right in the morning. Tomorrow I might do it in the afternoon. I'm going to work from a coffee shop later today. Tomorrow I might do it from home. So I just like to change it up so I'm not being stagnant because then it gets a little boring.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, I'm curious about this TV thing more. I don't
know anything about it,
Yeah.
so I can't tell you too much.
Yeah, but it's always something you felt was a thing. Like always, is that?
I'm just confident that
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna watch for it.
Don't watch the weather though. I'm not going to be on there. So yeah, don't watch the weather.
I didn't watch the weather because I had no idea that I was gonna be driving here in a snowstorm this morning. Yeah. Okay. Good. Sweet. Well, thank you very much for being here. I truly appreciate it. Making the drive, taking the time to chat. I know that we tried to coordinate this for a few weeks, so thank you for taking the time. And I'm glad. I appreciate that you were efficient and you were like, let me make another appointment out here so I can kill two birds with one stone. I like that. I'm always trying to do, it's to a fault, trying to like pack in as much as I can. I'm going there. Okay, well, let me do this and this and this, and I'll arrange this so I can not waste any time.
So you're a
going
planner
that way.
too then?
I guess so.
Yeah. Well, you do have a daughter, so that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. And actually it's funny because you mentioned, you know, a long line of strong women and being influenced by strong women before you. And I guess maybe you just meant your family, but I'm sure you also meant, you know, in general, women who have paved the way. So we keep getting gifts of like different books about like strong women. And so like, I know all the stories and the facts. And
Well, of course. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
So that's fun. Yeah, that's all.
Okay. Thanks so much for having me. This was fun.
Appreciate it. Awesome. Thank you for joining the Little Did You Know podcast. My name is Morgan Little. As always, thank you to Charlene for joining us today. It was a great conversation. Thanks for coming.